Man, we finally back. We finally back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Las Vegas Raiders, yeah.
Man. Pull out some coffee cream, man.
Man. It's about that time, man. We about to get started.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Around the Shield is back.
I'm so sick of them motherfuckers, bro.
Yo.
Man, don't forget to clock in, like the thumbs, man. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff, man. Hey, here we go.
Yes, sir.
Great Pharaoh, the gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the 5 rivers.
Years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
This is one of them hits now. Heard back from Earth, we just shot a few of my ships down. It's safe to say I'm totally pissed. Wow, my cloaking devices just malfunction. Guess it's time for a sit down. This is the problem I got with humans, mostly the common man. Constantly fucking with energy they don't understand. Always thinking they got the upper hand. The G-forces from my maneuvers can snap your spine like a rubber band. I shouldn't waste my time, they ain't half as nice. Put a Red Bull in your coffin so your ghost can have wings in the afterlife. Let's rock and roll like a belly dancer's rhinestone. It was my idea to shake shake the pineal gland like a pine cone. My thoughts create hurricanes, tornadoes, and cyclones. A punch for me is like an avalanche of granite and limestone. You live here, but now this is my home. I neuralize both your retinas, you wake up staring at the screen of your iPhone. Confused by the light plus the high tone. And now we connected from the microchip I placed next to your thigh bone. It's hard to understand cause your mind blown, but I gotta cut communication. Your government just scrambled they spy drones.
That voice is speaking Sumerian, the oldest language in human history. I can't explain it.
Was good, was good. We back.
Yes, sir.
We are back for another edition, man. We are finally back, man. Around the Shield, man. We had a little bit of hiatus, but we back. We back at it, man. Week 1 training camp is here.
Yes.
Man, hey, man, we going to have a lot to talk about. But before we even get started, man, how is everybody doing, man? Mike, man, finally, man, we was able to get you back, man. How's everything going with you, man?
Bro, I'm invoking the spirit of the Macho Man Randy Savage today, bro. I'm hopped up on Mountain Dew. Let's get it, bro. I'm hyped. We got things to talk about today, man. I'm telling you, man. Let's get it going, bro. Let's get it going.
Hey, that's what's up, man. That's what's up, man. Severe, what's going on with you, man? How's everything going?
Oh man, you already know, man. You already know what it is. Ready. Hey, this is the perfect occasion, to bring everybody back together, man. We reconvene for the start of training camp, man. So yeah, man, it's good to be back with the fellas.
Yeah, now finally, man. I know it's at the end of the week for a lot of for everybody. But hey, training camp started this week. Raiders training camp, and for the majority of the league as well. And we got a lot of talk about the storylines, things that we already knew going in, but now it's kind of like, all right, it's getting started already. We're starting with the quarterback competition, a little bit of trash talking going Raider Nation, and man, we gonna talk about that too in a little bit too as well. That Hermit, shout out, was it Hermit? It was like a puppet.
Kermit.
Yeah,
Kermit. Yeah.
Mahomes. He didn't like that.
Shout out to the Muppets.
Shout out to the Muppets for real. But let's get into it, man. Like week 1 training camp just happened. Pads, I don't think officially happened. I don't think they don't start until next week. But we were able to see up close and personal. Well, not me personally. I wish I could. Costa Mesa, man. The Rams and Chargers hating over there. But we were able to see and hear from like the beat writers, people that's on the scene, and how, man, the Raiders are using a lot of tight end sets. The tight ends are heavily involved. The QB competition is going back and forth. They're like, I think Antonio Pierce said in this training camp presser, he was saying that they're going to be it's going to be going back and forth. Yeah. So I think to begin with, Minshew had the majority of the snaps. Then the next day, I think Aiden O'Connell had the majority of snaps. But what are you guys hearing? What are your thoughts on how training camp started this week? Let's start with Mike.
Yeah, so they said the quarterback competition, they're gonna name the starter in about 3 weeks, but I think it's a wrap, man. I'm gonna say it right now, it's a wrap. I think Aiden O'Connell got this thing locked up. Last couple of days, Gardner Minshew hasn't been looking so good, but Aiden O'Connell has been throwing some dots. He's been throwing strikes. He's been looking a lot more polished in comparison. And I think that he's kind of, I wouldn't say he's the favorite, like amongst the team, but as far as business goes, you kind of want your guy that you've drafted, your second-year guy, to be the guy to take over this team, not some journeyman who, might be here for just 1 year, 2 years. So he's going to get that edge just because of that, just business-wise. And he's out. So far, he's out playing him. So Aiden O'Connell's going to be the guy. I'm calling it right now. And he looks the part now. His physique, you could tell he's worked on his physique over the offseason. And he's going to be in that playbook. He's definitely taking this thing seriously. And yeah, I'm going with Aiden O'Connell. He's my guy right now.
Okay, Severe, man. What are your thoughts, man? And before we get into it too, actually go ahead, Severe. Go ahead. Let the people know what your thoughts on training camp so far and what you've been hearing, especially with the quarterback position.
Yeah, man, it's some interesting stuff going on, man. The thing I'm most excited about hearing is that a lot of our young guys are stepping up to the plate. I wasn't really a fan of DeCamerion Richardson when we picked him, but I heard he's been out there balling. You know, people know how I feel about Tommy Eichenberg, and I prefer Spencer Rattler at that pick over Tommy Eichenberg. But I heard AP said it today in his presser, Tommy Eichenberg, or on Friday in his presser, that Tommy Eichenberg has been looking good. So just happy to hear the young guys are doing well. Jacorian Bennett looks like he's taking a step since last year. Trey Tucker as well is taking a step since last year. So it looks like all the young guys, these guys are the future, right? And the future is now. So happy to hear those guys are doing well. Then as far as the quarterback competition, man, I know Mike is he's in for the guy AOC. I still think it's a back and forth proposition right now, man. I know Gardner Minshew. I think he had a rough day on Thursday. He had a couple turnovers, but then Aiden O'Connell, he came out today in 11-on-11s and he threw two pretty bad interceptions. So I still think it's back and forth, but as Mike said, and kind of as we've been talking about for a while now, all things being equal, I think the Raiders prefer Aiden O'Connell to win that job. For economic reasons, for just for the future of the franchise, it makes more sense if they give the job to a guy like Aiden. So if it's even, it's going to Aiden O'Connell. And right now, I think it's been pretty even.
Yeah, no, definitely been pretty even because I think the first day, as you can see, Vic Tafur, one of the beat writers, man, shout out to him. He was there and he pretty much reported was saying that Minshew threw 2 picks that first day or one of the first practices where he had the majority of the snaps. He threw 2 picks. And then the next day when Aiden O'Connell was able to get the majority snaps, he also threw a couple of picks. So right now, defense is dominating. Defense is dominating. We're hearing the secondary's playing well, like you were saying, Severe. Man, and I'm hearing some people right now, they're predicting Bennett's going to win the other side. And, hey, that's best case scenario. Jacorian Bennett, second-year corner. Last year he had his, rookie, growing pains. He had a little injury. He had to get through some stuff, but it looks like he's maturing a little bit. You can hear some of the players kind of shout out his name early on in the offseason. We talked about Nate Hobbs, how he was impressed with him. But now we're seeing it, and it sounds like, Bennett right now you would think he has a lead on that position. And if, to be honest with you, I hope he's a starter. I want him to be the starter because you got a guy on a rookie deal, and if he's developing, because he has the tools. Yeah. He has the tools, to start on the other side. And guess what? Jack Jones on the other side, he's continuing what he did to finish out the season as well, from what I'm hearing, making plays on the ball. And I'll go ahead and shed out in a second. But yeah, man, it's right now I think the defense got the edge. Do you think at some point the offense will have some days, Mike?
Yeah, we discussed this earlier in the season, man. Like, the defense is always going to be ahead of the curve, and even with the circumstances, right? It's a defense who's been in the third year of a system right now, top 10 type of team. We're looking at the Raiders defense and being like, okay, this might be an elite squad, possibly on paper. That's what it's looking like. On the other side, you got, a team on the other side who's trying to figure out on offense, new system trying to be installed. Under those circumstances, and even without that, like, the defense is going to be a little bit ahead of the curve because you can go full speed without thinking about it, just going full, steam ahead after an offense, when you're installing a defense from the jump. So if it was even the defense would still have this initial advantage from the beginning. But with the circumstances, you got an even bigger gap that you got to kind of overcome as far as defense versus offense. So that's one thing, right? And as far as the red zone stuff, right? We're talking about, kind of both of them not really having a good day. Red zone, throwing the ball in the red zone is very difficult. It's such a small window that you got to complete passes in. And what as good as this defense is, it makes it even more difficult.
Yeah.
Also, they're not in pads yet, so you can't run the ball like you would usually do in a red zone situation, depending on if it was, short distance or you're in a goal line situation. So it's a little bit different. So right now, I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to say that, we got to panic on what's going on with this offense. It's early on. It's going to take some time to kind of install what's going on. And if we have the same discussion a month from now, then yeah, we might be a little bit concerned. But if I had to on a panic meter from 0 to 10, I'm gonna put this at like a 1 or 2 right now so far. But
Right.
gotta keep our eye on it and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for real. Because come on, we got to look at it. This defense is in their third year. They're playing fast. They're playing with a lot of confidence, swagger. Offense is still trying to figure some things out right now. And usually the defense, they're usually ahead of the offense. Like usually they'll have a lot of good days against the offense because they've been playing against the offense over and over again. You know what I mean? They know what's coming. They know.
Right.
So it's kind of understandable at this point, especially when there's a QB, competition going on. They're trying to figure out some things there. So, but there's some good things to talk about the offense. I mean, like the fact that I'm looking on here, Logan Reaver, he's saying that he's seen a lot of work from Mayer and Bowers. It's a lot of 2 tight end sets. And Bowers showing off his speed. It's like on full display. Man, that's something to be excited about. I know, Severe, you were critical to begin the offseason with the pick of Bowers, but at the end of the day, he's a Raider. Are you excited about how this offense can look like with Mayer and Bowers? And I'm looking at this statistic right here, man, with Getsy. The guy's he's pretty familiar with 2 tight end sets, especially with his days with Chicago as an OC. Thinking last season he was in the top 10 as far as running 2 tight end sets. Do you see that in the Raiders' future, in the Raiders' offensive future? Are we going to see a lot of tight end sets, or is it going to be more of we're going to try to cater to our guys that's already proven, like Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers? Because some of these guys, they're young guys. So I don't know. What do you think is going to look like on offense?
Man, I think you definitely got to run 2 tight end sets. When you spend that kind of draft capital on tight ends, we drafted a tight end in the second round last year, traded up in the second round to get him. Then we drafted a tight end top 15 this year. So they'd be foolish not to use 12 personnel as much as possible, especially your team that wants to run the ball. So you have a guy that's a pretty accomplished blocker, especially after last year in Mayer. A guy in Bowers who is a very willing blocker, not a great blocker yet, but he's a guy that will get after you. And so you have those, and they're both pass catching threats. So you got to run that 12 personnel. And one of the things I was concerned about drafting Bowers, right? The main thing I was concerned about with those drafting him was that will we use him right, or will he be featured in this system, especially when you have guys like Devontae already here and Jacoby already here, then even the emergence of a guy like Michael Mayer. So it seems like, hey, they are going to find ways to get him the ball. So if they do that, then I think that pick should definitely pay dividends.
Yeah, you can see it right here, man. This is stat right here. So Getsy, his tight end target percentage in 2022 and 23, 23.2% tight end target share, which is 9th in the NFL. And then obviously I mentioned 8th highest percentage in 12 personnel rate. So, man, that says a lot right there. And you can easily see the Raiders kind of going in this. We've talked about it because obviously we know that the Raiders, with Antonio Pierce, a head coach, he wants to play a physical style. He wants to play a physical brand of football. And what that looks like on offense is going to be running the ball. And obviously they got a couple of tight ends, which kind of like, it complements running the football and play action and hopefully getting better in the red zone. You know what I mean? I'm going to, hopefully that happens. But we'll see, man. It's like you said, I'm not really concerned about the offense, Mike. Like you said, it's just, I hope it looks better against the other team. You know what I mean? I like to hear our defense making plays, but I hope it doesn't look bad against other teams, which it did.
Yeah, and it's gonna make people feel uneasy. It's a lot of unknowns with this offense. So I do understand like people kind of being a little bit uneasy, but what we can't do is panic.
Right.
We just finished day 4 of training camp. It's early. It's real early. So one thing we can hang our hat on is that this team is going to be running a lot of 12 personnel, and we have 2 studs at tight end, and that's we're probably going to lead the league in running in 12 personnel. They were even installing 13 personnel. They might have a third tight end out there mixing things up. We're going to establish the run with those 3 tight ends. They're going to be good blockers. One of them is a good blocker, like just kind of a blocking tight end.
Harrison Bryant.
Yeah, Harrison Bryant. So, stay tuned, and be a little bit patient. It's going to take some time. We got a full month until we gear up for week 1, and we'll get there. It's just right now, we just got to be patient. The defense is going to be ahead of the curve right now, especially under the situations that we have right now.
Yeah. And look, man, so it wasn't just what we've been hearing from, and we've kind of left out a player here. We forgot about a player here that's kind of been talked about. And Shot Severe, I think this is your guy kind of early on in the process, and the Raiders happened to draft him. And I know, Mike, you're big on him as well. Dylan Lobby. And slowly but surely, man, the hype train is getting faster and faster, man. He's kind of turned heads. The beat writers, the people that's there on the scene, they're noticing it. And at the same time, you got your head coach pretty much shouting you out in his presser, talking about, man, his speed sneaks up on you. Man, he looks really good. They're excited about how the matchup problem that he's going to give to the other defense. What is it going to be for Dylan Lobby? What type of role is he going to have on offense, man? Like, because it looks like he's gonna have a little bit of role on offense. It's not going to be just special teams. Severe, what are your thoughts? Yeah.
I mean, if I was Amir Abdullah, I might start looking for houses elsewhere. You might want to put the house on the market, bro, just in case. I mean, you might have to contact some realtors, just in case, big dog, just because, definitely Mike went over the film, right? Dylan Lobby is a guy who he's a willing blocker in blocking situations, but what he also presents is a guy that is an outlet as a pass catcher. We talking about the game he had against Central Michigan where he put up like 295 yards, right? And it wasn't like he was like these weren't like no downfield throws. He was catching passes, like short passes, and he was turning them things upfield. So that was, him going against a level of competition up from where his school was, in terms of, from New Hampshire. So I think he's definitely going to have a role in this offense. He's definitely going to be a guy that can present, just another receiving threat. He's a very solid runner. He's a willing blocker. And then we already talked about his ability to return not only punts, but return kicks as well. So I just think that he's going to be almost guaranteed a roster spot just from what he's been doing. And Amir Abdullah, he's a little bit long in the tooth. I don't think we're going to carry quite as many backs as we did last year, especially with us having a defensive head coach this year. I think we're going to put a lot more onus on special teams and on defense. So instead of having those extra running backs, we might carry extra safety, maybe an extra linebacker. So it's those spots are limited now. So we might only carry 3 on the roster with White, White, Madison, and Lobby, and Abdullah might be the odd man out, unfortunately.
So, Mike, before you say something, I'm going to add this couple of things that's kind of interesting. Is that Cam Akers? I believe he ended up signing with the Texans, but what they were saying is that the Raiders had interest in Cam Akers, and then also, I don't know how 100% true this is, but one of I think there was a rumor out there that saying that the Raiders were looking into Demario Davis, linebacker. Yeah. So, Mike, like, what are your thoughts on this, man? If this is true, I feel like the running back interest is true, 100% true. But what are your thoughts on the Raiders possibly upgrading that linebacker and adding another running back? What does that say about what they're trying to do?
Depth piece, somebody that can, kind of, lightning in the bottle, establish somebody that can probably be, a Pro Bowl-ish type of player in 1 year and really set up this defense for, elite level type of play. We saw it a couple years ago when we had Denzel Perryman as our middle linebacker, where he was, we picked him up via trade, and he came in and he was a Pro Bowler at the end of the season. So, now Demario Davis he is older. He's 35 years old. So a lot of people are a little bit like skeptical, like, hey man, even though he had a good season, previous year, he's a little bit older, so you kind of like, I don't know, I don't want to touch it.
Mhm.
And I get that. I see both sides of this one. I see one side like, why are we bringing in older guys like this? But if the Raiders feel like if they can win now, and they feel like that's kind of, I don't want to say a weak spot, but you can strengthen this defense with a guy like that, then that's the move you want to make if you feel like you can win now. Now, on the other side, it takes away reps from the young guys coming up too. What happens to our guy that we drafted last year out of Florida, our linebacker? What happens with him? What happens with Masterson? Like it's those guys, probably one of those guys gets left off the 53. So it's both sides. You got to weigh it out. Do you feel like you're going to win now? Then you bring in somebody like you bring in somebody like that. But if not, go with the youth movement, keep developing, and see where we go from there.
Yeah, but it also says, man, they're not 100% confident in that running back room. If they're looking into Cam Akers, they want some more competition. They want some more.
Right.
They might. They're looking at maybe outside of, they might be excited and intrigued by Zamir White, but then outside of Zamir, it's kind of like a little bit of an unknown. We know Madison, he's been pretty successful as a more of a running back by committee type of running back where he's not the main guy. So maybe you can hang your hat on that.
I'm not sold on Madison even making the squad like that. Now, I'm not saying that he's like below like a lobby or anything like that, but in terms of fitting into a role, maybe he just doesn't fit into what the Raiders are trying to do. Now, Cam Akers as maybe a running back too, or kind of adding to that running back by committee. There's no real drop off in what they're trying to do. I could see that. That's not going to happen. But I think somebody, if Lobby comes out and he's the guy that's really showing that he's ahead of the curve, then you can install him as a running back too, and Amir Abdullah can stay around. Now, it remains to be seen. There's some time. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, and I'm just thinking of possibilities. But if Dylan Lobby is getting praised right now by AP, it's day 4, and, he's showing some, like, special stuff on the field, who's to say that he can't be that lightning to the thunder lightning that is Zamir White at running back 1 and him possibly being that lightning at running back 2? It remains to be seen. I don't know. It's early, but the praises are they're speaking loud, and a lot of people are on this Lobby train. Like, we were here first. You heard it here first. 30 days, 30 prospects.
Yeah,
we were on Dylan Lobby first, but now people are starting to see what we saw. So we'll see, man. We'll see. My ceiling for him is running back 2. He kind of reminds me of a Darren Sproles, a little bit bigger. And, out of the backfield, I could see him having a 400 type of season when it's all said and done.
Man, that'd be crazy, because I know early on we were like, maybe he could carve out a role, maybe as a third down running back. That's how he makes the team back up, special teams for sure. But you're saying running back 2 possibly. Man, that'd be crazy. I mean, Severe, like, what are your thoughts on these rumors, man? Like, because I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm hearing this upgrading a linebacker. Then on the other side, you hear Antonio Pierce kind of hyping up Eichenberg. So it's like, make it make sense. You say one thing, but then your actions are saying another. So, do you want a veteran back there? Maybe that at the end of the day, I think the person that has the final say on the roster isn't Antonio Pierce. He might have a little bit of an input, but at the end of the day, we know who that is, and that's Tom Telesco.
Yeah.
Do you, Severe, like, do you see these moves as not a vote of confidence on the players that we already have?
Yeah, man, the Demario Davis move, that kind of, like, I just don't understand the fit there, right? Like, we have a middle linebacker in Robert Spillane. We had a guy that they seemingly had a lot of confidence in last year to begin the year in Devon Diablo. Now, he's had struggles with health, but then we've also used draft capital on linebackers, and we had Amari Burney last year. We had Tommy Eichenberg this year, and we still have Luke Masterson, who was a guy, they say that they like. So I just don't understand where Demario Davis really fits in with this team. To be honest with you, that could be a situation where sometimes they'll float a team out there to kind of garner interest in other teams. And I know the Saints are probably looking to move off that salary. I think he's making like $9 million or something like that. So maybe a situation they're looking to move off that salary. But also we're going to be in sub package most of the time, right? We're very rarely going to have three linebackers on the field. We've been talking up Isaiah Palomao, Marcus Epps, Trevon Merrick. We have three good safeties there. And then we have Trey Taylor, who was a guy that kind of fits in that mode of kind of in the box safety, can be the third safety in the big nickel. So I just don't understand the fit there. In terms of Cam Akers, I think that just shows that the coaching staff really isn't sold on these other backs, right? Britton Brown, he's on the back of a milk carton somewhere. Like I ain't seen this dude.
I honestly forgot that he was on the squad, bro.
Sincere about to have to change his name to Deceitful because I ain't seen nothing from this dude either. So it's
real.
like I don't know what these other running backs are doing. So it could be a situation where, like, ideally, if you were looking for some more production out of the running game, you have these young guys already here. But apparently, like we've been hearing a lot about Dylan Lobby, and we haven't hearing anything about the guys that have been here previously. So maybe it's a situation where they're like, look, we need more competent backs in this system, and the young guys we have here really aren't cutting it. Even Madison, man, it could be a situation where, hey, they've seen what they've seen out of Madison. They're like, maybe that was a mistake. They're looking for another veteran to kind of be because ideally you don't have Lobby as your primary guy. So Zamir White goes down, you don't want to have to rely on Lobby. You want another guy that can kind of fill that RB1 role. So maybe they don't feel sold on Madison and they're looking for another guy to bring in to add some competition, maybe light a fire under him. And if not, win the job outright.
Yeah. So it's more so competition, and hey, man, it's kind of interesting too because we don't know what Telesco really thinks. He doesn't really talk too much. He kind of keeps things close to vest. We know Pierce is more of the outspoken guy, but we also know that Telesco has the final say on the roster. So we'll see.
Yeah, and it's so different compared to what we've had over the last 5-6 plus years, where it was usually the coach that was the final say, but now we got the GM who's actually the final say, which I do like. I do like that. But if it, I would say that Madison is definitely a surprise cut candidate for me, and I think it all matters. If it all depends on what goes on with Dylan Lobby. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think that they're looking at him and seeing something special. And of course, I could be wrong. I'm going out on a limb, right? I think that they're seeing something special, but they're waiting and seeing. They want to see a little bit more from him before they pull that trigger and like, all right, Madison, thanks for your services, but we got our running back too. You know what I mean? I honestly think that might be the case down the line.
Yeah. If those pads come on and he's doing the same thing, Madison could be out of here too.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll see what the Raiders do, man. They also have, I believe, they're in top 5 in cap space. Pull this up real quick for y'all to see. So they're at $34 million, and they're at number 4. So if y'all can take a look at this list right here. Do you guys foresee any type of moves happening? Are you guys thinking maybe an extension happens because guys like Malcolm Kuntz getting high praise from his teammates, the players there, the coaches? Man, hopefully we have a chance of bringing them back. I know it's going to be tough. I know pass rushers get paid, especially because I think we had a previous show. I don't know if it was me, you, Severe, or previous Around the Shield episode where we talked about how the free agent class for pass rushers next offseason, and we were looking at it, and it looks like Kuntz might be the number 1 guy if he enters free agency, because as far as his age and if he continues that production at that outside spot.
Yeah, it's gonna be Kuntz or Highsmith.
Right. And
Yeah. He's good too.
Here's the thing, man. And I'm basically repeating what we said on previous episodes, but just in case people are new to the show, I will say this: like, you remember what we've done a couple years ago with Darren Waller when we signed him kind of prematurely, but in the long run we had a hell of a deal on him before he got that $17 million contract. But that contract before that, it was like $7 million or something. He was like the 15th highest paid tight end at the time, but he was putting up elite level numbers. If we sign Malcolm Kuntz early, before he can even hit, free agency, before he can even do anything in this season, it might be financially a good move. Because if we let him come out this season and he breaks double digits in sacks or something, he does something crazy, then that number jumps tremendously. We're looking at probably having to give him about $20 million a year almost. Mm-hmm. So, we could save some money if we really, really, have some faith in him. We can give him 14, 15 million and save some cash before even seeing what he's going to bring to the table. Now, me personally, I think that he's not. We got too small of a window. He had a great 7-8 games of the season last year. But where was he before that? And where was he the year before that? He was missing. He was missing. Let's just be honest. So and then you could say that that's the AP effect. You know what I mean? Like, okay, he's finding his stride. He's in the right situation and things like that. But it just depends on how you see it. You got to really evaluate. And if you really have faith in him, you need to pay him now before he gets more expensive.
I think, man, to be honest with you, just to push back on what you said, I think the context to what you're saying is that Kuntz, he wasn't drafted by the McDaniels regime. He wasn't drafted by Antonio Pierce or Tom Telesco. He was drafted by, Gus Bradley. You know what I mean? In the third round, like he was part of that. And I say Gus Bradley because I'm sure Gus Bradley was probably high on him, and Mike Mayock for sure probably prioritized and brought him into the building. But I think it's just a matter of sometimes it really does matter where a player goes. And the coaching staff, they got to believe in a player. I'm sure there was a little bit of uncertainty, and, he had to figure his way. Because early on when he first came onto the scene, we seen the potential.
Yeah.
He comes in for a few snaps, gets a few sacks. I'm like, oh, this guy, there might be something here. And then, Gus Bradley, obviously, that whole coaching staff ends up, leaving the Raiders, and then we end up getting McDaniels. And then guess what McDaniels does? One of his first big time moves, Chandler Jones.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like at the end of the day, I think Kuntz kind of became the forgotten man because guys like, McDaniels and Ziegler, outside of the big names, the little names that's on a come up, I think those guys suffer the most when a new regime comes in my opinion. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But
I feel you, man. It's because last year I didn't even have Kuntz making a 53. I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought I had Justin Willis over him, and he was the one. Justin Willis was the one that got cut. So, and I only said that because of fit. He wasn't. Malcolm Kuntz isn't that great run stuffer like you want. Mm-hmm. Some guy that can come in there on first and second down. Give those defensive ends kind of a breath. And establish the run, set the edge, and stop the run, and kind of take him out. He didn't really have too much of a fit considering that Chandler Jones was part of the team. But now that Chandler Jones, you're right, Chandler Jones is gone. He is now kind of in that spot, and he's thrived since he's been put in that spot. So you're definitely right. I just want to see a little bit more from him,
right.
Before. And the only problem with that is if you don't pay him now and he shows something, then now you're paying maybe $5 to $7, $8 million more dollars a year to keep him around than if you would have just paid him right here and then. So it's almost like you got to balance it out. You got to really evaluate and take a risk almost. So, and part of it is taking a risk.
Yeah. No, and another thing too as well is that is Kuntz, like I said previously, he was drafted for that regime, so that coaching staff, and it was a different type of role. I'm sure they probably told him like, "Hey, rush the passer, That's what you need to focus on. But
Yep.
in comes Patrick Graham. What does he expect from his outside guys? Stop the run. You know what I mean? Get probably put on a little bit more weight. And guess what? Kuntz got better. Let's be honest. He got better. He got better at stopping the run, and now we knew what he could do. We seen him potential as a pass rusher, getting after the quarterback. We seen that, but he got better as a player, which means he has more snaps, which means he can be on the football field. He can find his comfort. Pass rushers they kind of like I think Max Crosby being a big influence on him, and the rest is history, man. I think I agree with you though. We got to see a little bit more, but sometimes you got to take educated gambles. Not everything is gonna be handed to you, man. I think sometimes you got to take educated risks, but Severe, man. What do you think? Do you think the Raiders are gonna probably give him like an extension here, or they're gonna wait until after the season, or he just might be a guy that they'll probably trade, or you know how it goes. We've seen it time and time again. The team doesn't want to pay him, but they also don't want to lose him for nothing.
Yeah.
So do you think that's what's going to happen with Kuntz?
I doubt they trade him. I mean, as Mike said, as we've been saying for weeks now, as I've been saying for a long time, like the price tag is just going up. Right, every day he gets better. Every day he shows more. The price tag is going up, and I think at this point, these guys have agents, and these agents generally represent multiple guys around the league, and so they're in contact with multiple teams. His agent has some idea of what the pass rush market is going to be. He has some idea of what these other teams think of his client. It could be a situation where the Raiders may want him, and Michael Cruz may say, like, nah, bro, I'm cool. I'm going to see what this pass rush market looking like. I have confidence in myself. I've stepped up, not only as a player, but also as a leader. So I'm going to see, what my value is on the open market. And if a team out there is offering me more, I'm going to take what they're offering. Because remember, when we signed Darren Waller had a much longer history of not being productive than Malcolm Kuntz, and for other reasons, other more troubling reasons. And though it seemed he had turned that corner, there was still cause for concern for teams to say, you know what, we don't know if we want to give this guy that kind of money. So that's why we were able to get him, and it was like that was a coup for us, because he quickly showed that like he outplayed that deal, right? Malcolm Kuntz is going to be a little bit of a different story. When he was coming out, Mel Kiper had him as one of his top sleepers. I think what Gus Bradley saw in him is very similar to what he saw in Yannick, right? I want to say he got Yannick in like third or so round, something like that. When he's with Jacksonville, so he knows how to identify these pass rushers a little bit later in the draft. So the guy had the skill. It was just about putting it together. We all remember that that video where Josh McDaniels was straight cooking Malcolm Kuntz. And so it could just be a situation where, hey, it's a confidence thing, right? His confidence was down. He was worried about making a mistake, and AP unlocked him. But I'm expecting him to do much of the same of what he did last year, maybe even more so, because you have Christian Wilkins and you have Max Crosby. So, and one thing I will say, I've been rewatching like a lot of the games from last season, especially like those games coached by Antonio Pierce. What I've noticed was that in certain situations, they were sending chips at Malcolm Kuntz over Max Crosby. Over Max Crosby. So that lets you know right there, this is what the league thinks of him. So this is not like, somebody at ESPN or some sports writers. These are coaches saying, know what? We're about to put a tight end on this side and chip Kuntz over Max Crosby, who we know what kind of player Max is. So, I mean, that tells you that the league already recognizes his talent. So it could get pretty costly for us to bring him back. But I want us to use that cap space to bring back our own guys. And then the NFL salary cap is a myth, bro. Like the 49ers are paying like 5 or 6 guys, and they're top 10 in salary cap space. And the Panthers and the Falcons are bottom at the bottom of the league in cap space, and they were like some of the worst teams last year. It's crazy. Like the salary cap is a figment of our imaginations, bro. You can do whatever the hell you want with the salary cap, man. You can figure out a way to create space, man. The 49ers just gave Vern. They just get Hargrove all that money. They just paid Debo. Like they're paying all these people, and they're still top, and they're about to have to pay Trent Wood. Like they have all this cap. I don't know how they have all this cap space. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, look at Christian Wilkins over here saying Malcolm's ceiling is so high. I think he can be one of the best edge players in the league. He's got so much to him. High praise from Christian Wilkins. Obviously a good player in his own right, and he's given him a lot of respect right there by saying that. So. And especially the way Malcolm Koonce finished the season. So hopefully the Raiders can figure out a way to keep him. We'll keep an eye on it. Yeah. Obviously, we'll talk about it when the time comes. But definitely wanted to mention it, especially when you got guys like Wilkins and the coaching staff and everybody just talking about Koonce as being a guy like this is a guy to watch that's going to have a big season. But we'll see how it shakes out. But in other news, man, outside of the training, well, not outside of training camp, but outside of the football field. There was a little bit of, I don't want to say drama, but some of the Raider fans were out there enjoying having a good time. I think season ticket holders are allowed, I guess, to come and watch the practices. So, man, if you ain't a season ticket holder, you're not able to get there. But they were having a good time. And I think one of the fans had a Muppet, a Hermit, the Muppet, whatever you want to call it, and dressed like basically Patrick Mahomes, and they were having a good time laughing, and I'm going to play a clip right here with the clip that actually went viral, and let's see right here. Let's see if I can put it on the screen. Everybody can see. Here we go. So here goes.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
Oh man, I'm
here.
Hey man, that's hilarious, man. So that went a little viral. The fans were having fun. I think AP had a little talk with the team. I'm sure he was like, hey, look, we can talk our shit, but we got to keep this out of the media. I'm sure they had a little talk. He didn't really talk too much about it, but he made it seem like, we already talked about it, we handled it. Do you guys think it was a big deal when players do this, or do you think this kind of adds a little bit of fuel for the other team? Because this is what coaches fear. They hate bulletin board type of stuff. They don't want the players to give the other team extra motivation. And before we react to this, here's a little bit of Patrick Mahomes pretty much reacting to. I think someone asked him from the media about the viral clip. Let's see here. Get back to it. Here we go.
I know you've probably seen the video of the Raiders with the Muppet of you. Is that something that you kind of compartmentalize and use if you get ready to play them?
Yeah, I mean, it's still early in the year. Kind of stuff like that happens.
This dude's voice is crazy.
Did a ton of people send that to you to make sure you're aware of it?
Not really, honestly. Everybody kind of just lets me play. I mean, they know how I am, so they don't need to send me anything to keep me motivated.
I know you.
So yeah, that's him just reacting to it. He did say at some point that it's gonna get handled when it gets handled. So I'm sure he's gonna use this as motivation and yada yada yada. But hey, look, the Raiders are talking their shit because they went out into Kansas City, and they were able to beat that team fair and square and lock them up too. Yeah. And obviously Kansas City, much respect to them, they went on and won the Super Bowl. They well deserved, they won it. But I'm sure the Raiders are a little confident, like, hey, look, if we're able to beat a Super Bowl winning team, I'm sure they're like, hey, we just got to keep getting better, and that's what that is. But so what were your thoughts, man, on the viral clip, man? Like, do y'all think it was a big deal, Severe?
So I don't want to say it's a big deal, but you got to be smarter than that, man. You just got to be smarter than that. And as much as we talk about, like, as much as coaches and players will say, oh, you know what, we don't worry about that kind of stuff, man. We just go out, we play our game. I'm not, like, nah, man. Like that is BS. Everybody knows that players are looking. They're looking for anything to give them that little bit of motivation, right? I think back to, it was the year, I want to say, when the Ferguson protests were going on, right? And then we went to St. Louis to play the Rams, and we were both bad teams. I want to say we were like 1-10 at the time, and the Rams were like 4-7, I believe. And they came out there and they put 52 up on us, right? They came in doing the hands up, don't shoot, and then they shot us all game long, right? So it's like, so it was, so like all that external stuff, bro. We can say don't make a difference, but it matters. We think back to the Yannick Ngakoue stuff, right? Where he's out there, showing up on their field. Like we don't, and it's not a situation people want, but I don't care. We beat them. Look, at the end of the day, you don't want to hand anybody any extra motivation, right? You want to go out there, you want to play your game, you want to handle that stuff on the field. You don't want to have any extracurriculars to have anything to do with it at all, and that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that makes like the third string guys and the fourth string guys, like when you're talking about their franchise quarterback, the leader of their squad, that's when they take that stuff personal. So just like how we feel slighted by all the talk about this team and about the coach, like they're going to feel slighted, from the first guy in the roster to the 53rd guy in the roster about, their biggest rival in the division talking bad, calling their quarterback. You called him a bitch. Like that's like you called him like it don't get more disrespectful than that. So at the end of the day, last time we played them, we handled our business, or our defense handled their business. The offense took a nap. But but we don't want to put any extra pressure on those guys, right? We're expecting to at least split with them again this year. Hopefully hopefully sweep them and win the AFC West. But to do that, we got to stay focused, and we don't want to have all these other outside distractions.
Yeah, but the other side to me is, at the end of the day, man, everybody's already counting them out. Everybody's already counting out the Raiders. Everybody's already kind of like, they look at their quarterback situation. Look, it's Patrick Mahomes. The Raiders are going to lose. They're already counting them out. So the Raiders' perspective is like, nah, F that. We going to go in there and we going to handle our business, and we're going to win. We're going to beat y'all. So a little bit of that like, I don't care, we going to get it done no matter what, it's kind of spilling. Probably, I'm sure, Antonio Pierce probably talked to the team, but you can tell, like, if you just hear like Kelsey talk about like how the Raiders played the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City and were able to win that game, he was, the first time he was salty. Yeah. That's how we get the Raiders like really handed it to the Kansas City Chiefs. He was salty the first time on his brother's podcast, and then months later after winning the Super Bowl, he was on one of the podcasts out here. And he was just like, he pretty much was giving props to the Raiders and giving props to Antonio Pierce and how they were coached, how they came out to play. He's like, that's the type of football we want to play. You know what I'm saying? So, it's kind of like it's gonna be interesting how Pierce coaches his team, because it's a little bit of like an old school mentality of Raiders, but will he be able to control it? Last season, the Raiders were the least penalized team in the NFL. Will it continue this year? Especially because now it's official. Antonio Pierce is coaching his team. What type of team are we going to see under Pierce, where he has that like impact of being the head coach for a full off season? It's going to be interesting, man. Mike, I don't know if you.
What? Now, real quick, I just want to add this. Just because. Like, first, like, I agree with what you said, right? They talked about how hard that team played. But I'm saying this kind of stuff, this was going to motivate that team to play even harder, especially when they feel slighted. And another issue is that whenever we play them, this thing is going to be brought back up. So that's going to put extra pressure on every man on that roster to perform against the Chiefs, because at the end of the day, they want to protect their rookie. They want to protect Trey Taylor, right? They wanted to, hey, we're gonna stand by our guys, so that's gonna add added pressure to them. And just about external motivation, right? I don't know if you guys have heard the story before, but when Mike, like the most internally motivated athlete I can think of in the history of all sports is probably Kobe Bryant, right?
Yeah.
There's not a guy who laid it out on the line more than Kobe. And you think about the time when Jordan came back in the league, and once that Jordan was playing for the Wizards, and the Lakers played the Wizards and they lost. I want to say Kobe's wearing Jordans that game, and then Jordan after the game, after the Wizards beat the Lakers, he basically whispered to Kobe, "Hey, you can wear the shoes, but you'll never feel them." And then that pissed Kobe off. He didn't talk to the team for like a week straight. Didn't talk to anybody. And he had circled that game on the calendar, knowing they were going to play him again. And that's when he put up 50 on like in 3 quarters against
42
right?
and a half.
Yeah. Exactly. So he put up 55 in 3 quarters, right? Against, and like they had to pull him. They basically like threw in the towel.
Lost his ass, bro.
Exactly. So like that's what that kind of external motivation can do for an athlete. And then Patrick Mahomes is not, he's not psycho like Kobe, but still though, like he's a professional athlete. He's still one of the better quarterbacks in the league. You don't want to give added motivation to those guys. You want to keep adding like all that slight that we're getting. We want to use that as our fuel, right? We want to have that rocket fuel on us. We don't want to give extra fuel to the other guys.
Yeah. And that's like funny. I guess we're just gonna segue into the other side to it. What's ironic is Jack Jones was at his presser and he was talking about all the outside noise and like you said, everybody's the star of their story. Everybody's the underdog to their story. So any little noise, especially great players like you mentioned Kobe, but a lot of great players, they'll use any little thing to motivate them. I'm sure Tom Brady, all these great quarterbacks, even Patrick Mahomes, I'm sure he's listening. He's going to use that to his advantage. Because look, hey man, at that they're playing at such a high level, like they'll find the smallest little thing. But just a segue to Jack Jones, he was asked about. I think he talked about like all the outside noise, and this is him at his presser here. Let me go ahead and put this on the screen. Let's see. Let's see.
Him being ranked the 28th coach, I feel like they was disrespecting him. Me, the team, him, I don't like that. That set a fire under me. We gonna show everybody 6-11 is crazy. I mean, I'm gonna get beat 11 times throughout the year. I mean, I'm gonna lose more than I win, and I don't like that. That's not who we are. That's not why we working. That's not why we here. And we gonna step up and we gonna show why.
So could y'all hear that? By the way, I don't know if y'all hear it clearly. All right, cool. So what he was talking about, I know ESPN had their rankings of the coaching staff. They just broke down each part of the Raiders team, each team in the NFL actually, and they ranked it. And he mentioned 28th. ESPN ranked them 28th as far as coaching staff, and that's a slight to Antonio Pierce. 6-11. I believe this had something to do with it. I think US Today had their predictions on how the season would go, and I'm going to go ahead and put this on the screen so y'all have a little bit of context of what was being said. You can see there they got the Raiders 6-11 next season. So it's ironic, they're talking about the outside noise and we're going to prove them wrong, but then at the same time, you got a Raider player over here giving some other team some motivation, especially the best quarterback in the NFL. So I see your point, Severe. I see
Look
it.
at that Chargers record, Mike. Look at the Chargers record, Mike.
9-8, man. 9-8. We'll see about that, man. We play them week 1. But Mike, man, what were your thoughts on what Jack Jones was saying? Talking about how just feeling that, just responding to the outside noise and how they're listening and they're going to keep their receipts.
I don't know what the national media wants us to do. They just because we don't have like that elite quarterback that everybody knows and loves. They're doing commercials, shaking hands and kissing babies. Like that's just not what we have right now, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we can't win games. These guys don't do the research. These guys have not looked in the roster from 1 to 53, or just the roster what we have right now. They didn't take into consideration what kind of draft we had. They haven't taken consideration what kind of defense we put together. They have only looking strictly at what we have at quarterback and making a decision based on what we have at quarterback. And it's very lazy journalism. It's very lazy journalism. Now, as far as, you know, media and that whole, like, you know, going back to what we were talking about with the Patrick Mahomes Kermit the Frog thing, right? Like, did the line change against the Chiefs? Like, did the betting line change since then? I mean, did our odds change since then? No, it's still the same. These guys are professional football players. They're motivated to play football. Period.
Right.
Bulletin board material, that whole term is a media, it's a media driven kind of deal. I don't think there is, to a certain extent, like, okay, we're going to be motivated because they said this. But these guys are professionals. This is football, man. This is football. They're going to play hard no matter what, 100%. And hey, they're going to count us out anyway. We're still probably going to be double-digit underdogs against the Chiefs at, in Kansas City or in Vegas. We're going to be 7 and 8 point underdogs. So hey, let us talk our shit. And when we win that game, we're going to smoke our shit, and we're going to let it happen. Like, well, that's what it's going to be. So about the whole thing about 6 and 11 and tying that all that stuff, like, yeah, use that as fuel. Let the defense, let the pads talk. This is what I said on my show I did a couple of days ago. Let the pads talk. Let those guys keep talking and talking a bunch of crap about the Raiders, putting them down. But when it's all said and done, we're going to be hitting teams in the mouth, and they're going to see what we're about. And 6 and 11 is egregious. And the fact that the Chargers are 9 and 8, when they've done nothing, they've lost more pieces than they've gained. They had a good draft, but you don't win with a bunch of young rookies. You know, everybody's like, okay, well, Jim Harbaugh's brought in, is coming in, and all this other stuff, but they're looking at something that he's done 10 years ago. You know, last time a coach was gone for about 10 years and came back, it didn't work out. John Gruden. Let's look at Sean Payton. Yeah, let's look at Sean Payton. It ain't working out in Denver, and he was gone for a number of years. So for people to assume that he's just going to come in and pick up where he left off from San Francisco, that is very lazy to me. They're not even looking at anything that they've done. They're not looking at the fact that they have a guy who has butterfingers at number one as a number one receiver who couldn't catch a damn cold last season as their number one receiver. Austin Eckler's gone. Like, they're just looking at, oh, well, Justin Herbert, he's good enough. He's going to get them to 9 and 8. I don't understand it. I'm going to stop ranting, but the Raiders at 6 and 11 is egregious, and I hope they whoop their ass week 1, man. I told you I'm hyped up, bro. I already told you I'm hyped up, man.
I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna making a point to get to that game because it's gonna be crazy. But I think you got a point though, man. I think national media does this all the time. What they do is they look at it from a surface. They got teams that they really focus on and hone in, and then they look at it from a surface, meaning that, like, all right, they're looking at the Raiders. Oh, Antonio Pierce, a head coach, no experience at head coach. We can't rank them against. We can't have them higher than 28th because there's this guy that they like. There's this guy that they like. There's Jim Harbaugh, or the hottest OC that they think that is going to be the next hot shot, head coach. So, and then they look at the quarterback situation. Look, head coach, and they look at the quarterback situation. And I understand why. Let's keep it real. I'm just gonna play the other side to it. Let's keep it real. The quarterback situation ain't the sexiest in the league. It is not. Weapons-wise, like as an offense, the pieces that we have on offense, I love it. But Aiden O'Connell, Minshew, whoever is going to be the starting QB, I feel like all of us here probably have our money on AOC probably being that starter. We got to see it. We got to see it. We got to see what this offense looks like. But it's just that quarterback situation. That's a big position. And, me, Severe, man, we like to keep real. You know what I mean? We had a conversation. We're thinking about it. We're like, you know what? Where do you rank the quarterback situation when you just start looking at around the NFL and just look at the experience they have at quarterback, or maybe the talent level they have at quarterback? Are you going to rank the Raiders at the top of the list? Probably not. You know what I mean? Of course not. Right now, as of right now, I can understand why people have it at the bottom until proven otherwise. So let's be real.
My point is that having a quarterback that's at the bottom of a ranking, it doesn't correlate with having a losing team. There's been teams who have elite quarterbacks who don't get it together because everything around them sucks.
Yeah.
So, and then on the other side, we saw the Browns throw in a 40-year-old, what's his name, Joe Flacco, and go 11-6.
Yeah.
And it was because they had a squad around him.
Yep.
And that's what I'm saying, that
Joe Flacco was balling though.
He was balling, but that's
because
like
400 twice.
He made Washington
he was
look
going
like
off.
Trash.
He was going off. I'm not saying Aiden O'Connell's going to do anything near that, but he's not a bad dude. Like, he was in you know the situation. Everybody knows the story, man. I don't have to repeat it. Like, he's going to get a legit shot to succeed this year. So that has to count for something. This dude isn't a bum, some kind of scrub that doesn't belong in the NFL at quarterback. So all I'm saying is, do the research. Look at the full squad. Quit looking at just the quarterback, because that isn't a correlation of wins and losses.
Yeah,
we've seen lesser quarterbacks make the playoffs. We've seen lesser quarterbacks make the Super Bowl. So that's all I'm saying, man.
Yeah, no, I think they're undervaluing the Raiders for sure. I mean, like 6-11. Like, I don't think the Raiders are going 6-11. I think they're undervaluing the coaching staff of the Raiders. I think the Raiders have a solid coaching staff. There might be there might
better
be
than
maybe
solid, in my opinion.
Yeah, because they got a good combination of young and experience. You know what I mean? You got experience on the staff. I think AP. What I respect about AP is for him to look at himself and be like, you know what, I've never done this before, and he gets Marvin Lewis, he gets Joe Philbin. Those are huge gets to me. And then you got then you got Patrick Graham coming back third year as a defense coordinator. That was a big, I think, a big get for him to come back, because he could have easily became a head coach candidate or went to another team or went another staff, but he decided to come back.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I think that 28th ranking is crazy, but it is what it is. National media is never going to show love to the Raiders until like we got to win a Super Bowl, and then like, oh, okay, now some of these guys have come out. So some of it has to do with the Raiders just need to go out there and just win games, get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
They might show us a little bit of respect, but it's a little bit of haters out there in the media. No. They don't like the Raiders. Come on, y'all used to this.
Yeah.
For sure.
When they think it's bad, they add a little extra bad, and when it's good, they kind of take away a little bit of the good. Like, okay, they're good, but they're not that good. They're bad, but they're horrible. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. It's never a praise with them.
But but real quick before we wrap it up, man, I'll start with you, Severe, man. Do you want to do the predictions, or do y'all want to wait on this? You want to wait, let it simmer real quick, or do you want to do a little season predictions?
We can do a prediction right now, and then we can do one when we finalize the 53. We just give our thoughts right now, where everything it stands right now. But just talking about Bulletin Board, I want to go back to Bulletin Board material. If you guys haven't seen the movie, The Program, with my guy Alvin Mack, my guy Alvin Mack getting himself hyped up on the field. That's we talking about how players do little stuff to get themselves motivated. It's just YouTube Alvin Mack, The Program, and that's some good stuff right there. But in terms of our record prediction, I know the national media has going 6-11. I think that is egregious. I don't want to. It's not a spicy take, but I got us. I think our floor is 9-8. Right now, I have us at 10-7. Depending on what our quarterback situation is. If we get some good quarterback play, if we get basically Aiden O'Connell level play from last year, maybe a little bit improved from last year, I got us at like 10-7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mike?
So this team reminds me a lot of the Browns from last year. If we can establish the run, the way the Browns run the ball, we bring that elite type of defense that everybody thinks we're going to have, pass rushers going after Tyree Wilson. We didn't even talk about Tyree Wilson. We don't know what we're going to get with him. We don't know. He's a wild card, right? Malcolm Kuntz. We're expecting him to do some things, right? The corners are going to be better because of that elite pass rush. Offensive line, some continuity with the offensive line. We still waiting to see what JPJ is going to bring to the table. Colton Miller, by the time season starts, I'm expecting him to be good to go. When it's all said and done, man, I got the Raiders going 11-6. I think they'll go 11-6. They're going to split with the Chiefs. I'm not saying they're going to win the division. Chiefs might go 12-5. That final game, that Black Friday game, might really be the decider right there for the division right there. And so 11-6. Raiders make the playoffs as a wild card team, and that is where we will see the shortcomings of having a special quarterback. Not the whole season. I think we're good enough to get to the playoffs, but we're not good enough to maybe do some damage in the playoffs because of the quarterback. I have faith in Aiden O'Connell to get the job done and get us there, but of course not win a Super Bowl or do some damage in the playoffs. That's a realistic shot with the Raiders. Just considering the defense, the pieces around them, AP, these guys have been working since January 22nd, really trying to avenge what has happened from the previous year, watching their rival win a Super Bowl in their stadium. Like, we want to talk about motivation, right? They've been working since, like, the AFC Championship game. These guys, and they had a number of guys selling in and buying out completely, led by Max Crosby. This is a program that seems to be, people are 100% buying in. I haven't seen this kind of cohesiveness from a Raider team in a very long time, probably ever.
Mm-hmm. Initially,
right? Now, it's going to remain to be seen as far as, can they keep that kind of energy up? But for whatever reason, I don't know how that equates to losses, having those tangibles. So because of all the other stuff that I just said, I got them going 11-6, a floor 9-8.
Man, I like how you think, man. I hope they go 11-6, but to be honest with you, I think it's, for me, my prediction, I think it's 10-7. I think I feel good about the defense. I feel good about the coaching staff. I feel good about the pieces that we have on offense, but the quarterback position, I just don't feel like it's strong enough for me to say 11-6, 12-5, or you know what I mean, where they could come. Hey, look, I'm not afraid to be wrong. I hope AOC and Minshew go crazy, and because the pieces on our offense are that good. But right now, I see the highest is 10-7, and I think the floor. The floor, I don't think it's going to get at maybe 8-9 will be the floor, to be honest with you, because look, there's going to be games where the Raiders are going to lose because the other team has a better quarterback. It's going to get down to a 2-minute warning, late game drive, and does AOC have it in him? Does Minshew have it in him to bring the Raiders down the field and win the game? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And or who protects the football? Like, it's going to come down to, like, the quarterbacks really protecting the football, because that's how close it's going to be. Because if you're going to have a good defense and run the football the way you want to do it, the games are probably going to be a little bit close. So the decision making of the quarterbacks needs to be. We can't hear, like, right now it's training camp. We hear the quarterbacks throw 2 picks here and there. It's cool. Get it out your system. But when the season rolls around, hey, man, what my expectations for Minshew and AOC is game manager. Just manage the game. Don't lose the game for us. Let the defense dominate. Let Zamir White do what he does, and hopefully we have somebody else step up in the run game. Play action. You got Mayer up the seam or in the back of the end zone, or you got Brock Bowers. getting involved in so many different ways. Obviously, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, like let them get open. Whoever's open, give it to the open guy. I feel like, look, I just feel like whoever gets in there, they don't have to really do too much. But for me, it's gonna be. For me, it's 10-7. It's 10-7, and best case scenario is they go 10-7, they get to the playoffs, but they realize, you know what, we don't have the quarterback on this roster. They realize it early. Like you know what I mean? They realize it early. It's not going to be a situation where like, oh no, AOC is the guy. And we wait like 10 years to realize, you know what? He wasn't, you know what I mean? I think that's one of the biggest things that we talked about it severe. Like it's one of the biggest things on Derek Carr was like, it wasn't good enough. He was good, but we were just okay with him being solid to good. Like, but at the end of the day, like if the Raiders are going to win the Super Bowl in today's NFL, you're going to have a guy that's pretty talented. That's going to be that Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. I know it's hard, but try to swing for the fences, man. And I think the Raiders, man, they're going to have to figure out that quarterback position. And that's just, I hope AOC's the guy. I hope AOC the guy, but I just don't have that strong belief, man, right now.
We pretty much see it the same way, man. Like 10-7, 11-6 is basically almost the same thing. I think that equates to a wild card berth being a 5 seed. So that means you're going on the road to play a 4 seed, probably a team in a division, a team with a weak division. You know,
Texans.
Maybe the Texans. You know, and I see that the Raiders will have an excellent defensive game, but cannot get on the board on offense. I can see like a 14-9 type of game where the defense does their job, and then you're looking at AOC to finally make a play, just make a play. The defense is holding you down,
right?
And then he just doesn't get it done. So we're kind of on the same page with that one, man. And at the beginning at the season, I can see us winning games that we probably shouldn't win. I could see us beating a Baltimore. I could see us beating, Kansas City in Kansas City. I could see us beating Miami in Miami. Like I could see that. I could see us beating Pittsburgh. Like those are games that maybe not necessarily we should win, but we pull it out. At least one of those games.
Yeah, man. We're on the same page. I just feel like I said, I feel good about the team. It's just that big position, that quarterback position, I think is the thing that kind of holds the Raiders back a little bit. Like it
does
from reaching their ceiling. And I think the Raiders know it. Because why were they making attempts to trade up? They weren't trying to trade up to get Brock Bowers. They weren't trying to trade up and get Brock Bowers. As much as we like Brock Bowers, they weren't trying to trade up to get Brock Bowers. They're trying to trade up to get the quarterback. You know what I mean? That's let's be honest here. So that we'll see how it shakes out. I mean, Severe, man. Any last thoughts? Any last thoughts on what to look forward to training camp week 1 now in the books?
Yeah, man. I think we talked a little bit about Lobby earlier, and we talked about what the coaching staff is going to have to see something before they pull the trigger on making him a RB2 or maybe jettisoning a guy like Madison or Abdullah. We got pads coming up. I think if he continues to do what he's doing, without pads and what he's doing in these shells and full pads, I think that might be a signal to the coaches like, hey, you know what? He's RB2. He's RB2. And I think this is where we're going to start to see guys like, I'm not talking about I'm not a fan of the guy, but I think this is the time where Eichenberg can make an impact. You guys know what I think about Zamir White, and I've been saying it for a minute. I think this is where we'll start to see, hey, Zeus, he's already a fan favorite out there. I think this is where we start to see, hey, what kind of back he's going to be. Seems like the team is excited about him. So we get to see, what he's going to be. And I think Michael Mayer as well. I think this is when, he gets to start, his physicality, the extra weight he puts on. He's up to like 265 right now. Still, I think who talked about it? I want to say Gardner Minshew talked about it.
Did he lose weight or add weight? Did he lose weight?
Added weight.
Added weight? Michael Mayer?
Yeah, he's up. Yeah, Michael Mayer added weight. He's up to 270. I want to say like 15 pounds or something like that. So up to like 260, 265 right now. And Gardner was talking about him. Gardner talked about both tight ends, right? He said, Brock Bowers looked good. Brock Bowers was a solid route runner. But he said, Michael Mayer was a true wide tight end. Dude was big, great hands. He said he was an exceptional route runner. Mm-hmm. And for a guy that big to move that well, I think we're gonna start to see these guys in pads. And this is where guys and Trey Taylor as well. That's another guy where I think, hey, bro, you better back up this Kermit talk, because he's a guy that we're gonna have to see his physicality.
Yeah.
So man, I'm just excited about pads. This is where you start to separate the men from the boys. It's all well and good right now, no pads, really no contact. But when those pads come on, you really start to see who's the real deal and who's not.
Facts, man. Hey, Mike, man, I couldn't say anything better. Severe, yeah, man. I'm looking forward to what's the battles continuing, and also, Mike, you touched on Tyree Wilson. That's another guy, another name that we talked about in the 50-50 show. Severe, we talked about. That was a guy that I was looking forward to see. Kind of early in camp, we haven't heard too much, but as time goes on, pads come on, and then hopefully preseason we'll see him a little bit in there. Hopefully he makes some plays. But Mike, what are you looking forward to as far as training camp as it moves forward with week one under the books?
Prayers out in advance to Thayer Munford, because he's going to get torched every game, every snap, every rep for the next 2 weeks. So that's what I'm looking forward to, but I'm also looking forward to seeing DJ Glaze get a little bit of that smoke too. We need to get these guys ready to go. We need Munford to get ready to go. We need Glaze to get ready to go. And I want Max Crosby, I need Tyree Wilson, I need Malcolm Kuntz to lead the way with that one. We need to get our trenches right. That's where we're going to separate us from being that 6-11 squad that people think we're going to be to that 10-7, 11-6 wild card team. We got to get our trenches right. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, hey, that's actually a good point, man. Silver lining.
Yes.
We didn't even touch on that is the player. There are some players hurt. They were on the PUP list. Colton Miller is out right now, which is kind of a little bit concerning. And then you got Jackson Powers Johnson. He's out a little bit, but then Telesco, I think, came out and said that he should be back soon, or that's what's being reported. He's going to be back out on the football field, so that's good. But the other side to it is some of these other pieces that are competing maybe for a roster spot, guys that maybe, hey, there's always going to be a surprise guy in training camp. So hopefully maybe guys can get some good experience, get some good reps going against the ones on defense. And the ones on defense look like they're going to be one of the best in the league when it comes to that D-line. So that's probably a good experience for them. But, yeah, man, hey, look, man, it's been a great show. Man, Severe, man, let the people know where they can find you, man.
Yo, you guys know what it is. The Severe Raider everywhere. The Severe Raider on YouTube, on IG, on X, on TikTok, on Snapchat, all that stuff at on Sesame Street, wherever. Yeah, man. Y'all know what it is. Around the Shield is back. Y'all take notice.
Hey, man.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Mike, man, let them know where they can find you.
All right, let me look into the camera, man. Big Mike Raider everywhere, IG, X, everywhere. My burner account is at I Hate Chargers. Go ahead and check it out. I'll be posting some stuff anonymously. Guess it's not so anonymous now, but all jokes aside, man, we got a lot of things cooking around the Shield. We got another film breakdown next week. MJ Devonshire and DeCameron Richardson. So go ahead and check it out next week, and we got plenty more from Around the Shield.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, hey, man, next time we go live is going to be, we have Around the Shield. Will be next week. Look forward to it. I think every Saturday is when we're going to be dropping it, so make sure to be on the lookout for that. Also, 50-50 show every Monday nights, man, so join us, man. Me and Severe, man, we run a good show on Monday. Make sure to check us out, man. Hit that notification bell. Make sure to clock in, light the thumb, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff. Man, it's been a great show. Man, till next time, peace.
Peace.
Just win, baby.
Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.